beep, 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 beep. And I'm just like,
Okay, so we all ready to do a show because I'm ready. If you're ready, I'm not ever sure how to start these things, but I think I
I'm
say
born
that
ready,
at the
honey.
beginning of I think I say that at the beginning of every one of these now because I don't know.
Well,
I
let's
I'm
never
ready.
turn
know
it
how to
over.
start them.
Let's
Okay,
turn it over to
well,
our.
incredible. So here we are. See, I don't know how to start it. I'm just gonna do it. Here we go. Well, hi Aria. Hi Lucy. How are you?
I am fantasy come reality.
That's my line. I'm also doing fantasy come reality, and I'm on a horse.
Well, we can see you this year. We're on video now, so.
Hmm.
Well, we're
Don't
here
worry, I'm
today.
on a
We're
horse,
here
all right.
today. Yeah, well, we're here today on the Trans Narrative Podcast with Jessica Dimon. I'm so excited to have you here, Jessica. How are you?
I am incredible.
It's so
How are
good to
things
have
in
you here.
Cincinnati?
How is Cincinnati? It's good. Everything's incredible here. Everything's great. The
Fantastic.
weather's crazy. I never know if it's going to be raining, snowing, or warm.
You get asked questions about Babes in Toyland a lot.
What's that?
What is that?
It's a movie that takes place in Cincinnati. It's from the 80s or
No, I never
70s.
never heard of
Ba-
it.
You've never heard of Babes in Toyland?
Mm-mm.
I'm old. I'm so old.
Was that like
37's not that old.
was that on VHS or something?
It was on VHS when I watched it. Yeah.
So,
Uh,
so Jessica, tell me a little bit about the first time I met you was at Main Event in Cincinnati back in 2021. So a
During the
long time
pandemic,
ago. Oh my God, it was. And did we wear masks? Did you enforce that?
I don't remember exactly when, like, I know when I met you. I don't remember what was happening as far as the pandemic when you came, but I remember meeting you and hanging out with you for a little bit. And did we take pictures together?
We did. We have lots of pictures with the
Yeah, I
whole
brought
gang that night. Danielle Hunter, a drag performer from Orlando, was performing the night that I went.
She's one of my idols. I'm obsessed with her. I love her.
Oh my God. What's that like to book like such a like somebody that influences your career? Somebody's
So I've learned in my life, like sometimes if you put someone on a pedestal, they won't live up to your expectations. So I watch everyone from afar, and I have people I obsess, not obsessed over, but I idolize. And then when I meet them, sometimes I'm really let down. So I go in with no expectation, and I kind of just hope for the best. But with her, for example, like she was fun. I met her before, but she's like a drag mother, a drag leader. So she was like, even though I've been around for like a long time, 20 years in this business, she was still like, "Hey, you should consider doing this." And she was like being a mentor. So it was really cool because I got to kind of like humble myself and I got to like be a child in her classroom and listen.
How long have you been doing drag?
About 20 years.
20 years. So that takes us 2003.
Now, if anybody's listening to this and they're under 30, I've been doing drag for 7 years and I'm still learning because I'm only 27-ish. Not really.
Now, so when I met you, you were at the Main Event, and now you're at a place I have not been yet. It's called Bloom Over the Rhine.
Yeah, it's called Bloom OTR, and it used to be Below Zero, the cabaret, which was a big nightclub here in Cincinnati. When it first started, I was actually a part of that. And then Penetration from RuPaul's Drag Race ran it for a long time, and it shut down during the pandemic. And then we just reopened it. So like when I found out they were closing, I immediately reached out to the community like we have to keep the space. Like people love like for our LGBTQ world, like we lose a lot of our safe places. And so I knew that was a place that like we all knew was safe. So I was like, let's reopen this, let's get it better, let's rebrand it and make it still feel like at home.
What was the process like to get that started, like to get a business going during the midst of a pandemic?
Well, I had to like convince people to like invest in me and trust that I could like make this bar really busy. So the process was happening, I of course had to do some convincing and kind of prove who I am and what I can do. but they immediately wanted me, so it was pretty easy. And then like they asked me like questions like how do I want the stage, how do I want the dressing room. So like they have people who are investing thousands of dollars into a business ask you your opinion. It makes you feel worthy. It makes you feel like you're worth something. Like it made me feel like this isn't just some bar using me to pack and make money off of me really quick. It was someone actually invested in me and my time in my career.
Are you still showing up there then? Obviously,
Yeah,
after making such a
yep.
effort to keep them up in a flow.
Yeah, I'm there every single Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then we do brunches on Sundays.
Aw, we have a place
Ooh.
similar to that called Lips down here.
Yes, are you in Atlanta? Where are you at?
We're in San Diego.
Okay, well, there's Lips Atlanta, Lips Chicago. So yeah, there's a lot of Lips.
Yeah, we don't really have the biggest drag scene down here. It's trying to start up in a sense. Like there are a few places that have started now. Like what's that place for Riches that they wanted to start doing? It was like going to be once a month. Like was it?
Independent Riches.
Yeah, there's
Do you
one
go,
at
do you
Riches
go to
that
drag
started.
shows often?
What's that?
Do you go to drag shows often?
Yeah, because they're kind of rare down here. Like Hamburger Mary's does one, but I think that's also a chain. They do theirs like every now and then. There's besides Lips, you'll get like little pop-ups here and there. Like Gossip Grill did one on one of the nights that we were there, but they didn't advertise it to like normal circles. So it's just suddenly we showed up and we're like, oh, there's a drag event going on, and it's too late to get tickets.
Yeah,
But like,
drag shows are super safe, and there's a good place, a good atmosphere. It's
agreed.
it's for everyone. It's not just for us. It's for straight people too. So I love that it blends societies and blends all types of people.
Yeah, that's why I'm surprised that like we don't have more of them popping up in places. Especially since we're in California. You'd think that they would be like one on every corner with the way that the right makes it seem that we're obsessed with them. I'm obsessed with them because they're fun, but
Yeah, I think we're a little bit south of the good stuff here in San Diego. But
yeah.
up north we have West Hollywood and we have San Francisco, but things seem a little bit more low key around here.
I understand.
And you still like to go to those and just be like, shower with me with your dancing attention.
Yeah.
Because anyone who goes to a drag show should know, bring singles. Bring singles.
The best thing about Blue Mouse here where I work at, we have an ATM that dispenses singles only. So you have
Oh,
no excuse not to have singles. And we have cocktail server drag queens who, have singles with them as well that you can buy. So we make sure our audience is fully stacked.
oh,
That's
good.
One thing
fantastic.
about a drag show and a good show director and a good host is making sure your audience is, fully prepared when it starts, making sure they're loaded with singles and make sure they have it keep flowing.
Have
And
you
if the
dealt
lighting
with
fails,
have you dealt with any pushback from the community for
Everything I do because of who I am and because of the amount of following I have and support, there's always that negative part. So there's a lot of really bitter drag queens out there who, um, of course, don't like me. So of course I have pushback, but I really focus on the positive in my life. I don't let the negative ever bring me down, or I don't focus much on it. I let it fuel me instead. So if they're like really upset with me, then I will do something gigantic just to like, you know, make them talk more.
now speaking of who you are, did you always grow up in Cincinnati? Is that where
Yeah, I
you
grew
were
up in
born?
Northern Kentucky. Yes, right next to Cincinnati.
Okay.
Mm.
and yet nobody
So
here knows of Babes in Toyland. Why?
no, no, I don't
I'll add
want
it.
that.
I'll add it to my watch list.
Oh, thank you, thank you. And then you're gonna start getting stuff like movies from the 1950s because they're gonna be like, wow, this bitch must be old.
So I grew up in Cincinnati. That's my hometown. I spent 22 early years of my life there before moving away, and it's been an adventure since then. But what inspired you to get into drag?
So I was in high school and I met this person named John. Her drag name was Nomi Love. And um I happened to bump into her at a club and I met her through my cousin. And she was dressing up. So as I got to know her, we started hanging out more. She was like, I want to put you in drag so bad. And she convinced me. I thought that like I would never do that. I seen it on like Jerry Springer, I seen it on TV. I thought it was like a clown. I didn't think it was something serious. And I was really trying to figure out my life. I thought I was just a cute little gay boy. I thought that like, and I was trying to do modeling. Um, and I was trying really hard to like focus on just being like a super hot gay boy. But as I met her, and started going to drag shows, I started dressing up, and I was like, wow, this is actually way better than what I was focusing on. So drag became like an outlet to become trans in a way. Like it helped develop what made me feel right in the head, kind of because I was like, when I was walking down the street with holding my boyfriend's hand as two gay guys, it just didn't feel. I didn't feel. I almost didn't identify as like a gay man. I just didn't. It didn't make sense to me a lot. But when I was dressing up and drag to go out to like bars, and I would like hang out with guys, I'm like, oh, so I like the way that it felt being a woman with a man. So drag really opened doors for me when it came to like what was really happening inside my brain.
So back, when you were exploring early on your identity, what kind of vocabulary was present in society and in your personal life? What were you exposed to?
You were either just gay or you were straight. That's just kind of what it was. And if you were gay, you were, a joke. People made fun of us. And in high school, I was super bullied. I only had friends that were females. Once I like kind of came out, all my like straight guy friends, they all kind of dropped me and they were scared to be around me. They thought that because you're gay, they have this thing in their head. They think you're gonna try to sleep with them. And I'm like, just because I'm gay doesn't mean I don't have standards and taste. Like
Yeah. It's
I'm
like,
not.
fam, you don't even shower. I'm not sleeping with you.
Yeah, like you have nothing to worry about. Like you're not my type at all. But those are the kind of guys that freak out. But just back then it was not okay to be who you wanted to be. There was, especially to be trans back then, like it was so silent and hidden. Like when I
Oh
remember
yeah.
when I started transitioning, I remember I tried to like call doctors and ask questions, and all my trans friends were like, "No, you got to do this in the black market. You can't. They're not going to help you." So back then, I remember like they all were like, "Okay, so we're going to put you in hormones. We're going to give you what we got. You're going to take that for like 3 or 4 months. You're going to start developing things. Then you go to a doctor and say, I'm already transitioning, and they'll put you on hormones, especially if you're already in the process. So back then, to start, like you had to go through like all kinds of therapy sessions. You had to like get proof that you were possibly trans, and it was took a year or two to even get that process through. So I had to do the black market thing. So I bought hormones off the street from my friends and took them for a long time. And then I went to a doctor and was like, "You're going to treat me," and they did. Thank God.
Yeah, because you
There's
still have that initial barrier sometimes of them being like, oh, even though you've already started, we don't help people like you, essentially. You have to really search around, and a lot of word of mouth was how you would find what places were safe in order for you to transition. Because some places would just be like, oh, you're getting them illegally? Oh, they're gonna have an issue with that.
Well, of course, yes, that's that. There's that, but also my trans friends who were getting the medicine, they already had a doctor, so I knew
Ah,
as soon as I got through a certain part of my transition that I can call and make an appointment and pray to God they can get me in. And back then, she actually treated a lot of us. Her name was Nina Walker, and she actually accepted me and put me on the correct hormones and helped me start my transition in the proper way.
Now that was back, before we had mainstream access to gender affirming care, before it was accepted among medical professions. What was it like, as you were transitioning to see the world not even like bat an eye to who you were?
I remember when I first started transitioning, I remember how hard it was and how difficult it was and how unaccepted it was. Then there was a point where it became really popular with like Caitlyn Jenner coming out as trans and people becoming more accepting. But what I'm learning now, as of like currently today, I feel like the hate is more unreal and more, I can see the hate coming more right now than I seen it 5 years ago, as well as like 10 years ago. It seems stronger out there.
I agree that I feel it's a pushback essentially because you know how conservatives they were very anti-gay until you know gay people were getting their ability to get married and stuff like that, and then the right pushed really hard to prevent that, and then once you know we broke through, and it's kind of happening now where it's like, oh, we have all these places that are accepting of trans people. It's the devil. This is the devil's work, and you're like, nope, nope, just a person trying to exist, fam.
Yeah, it feels like we've made some major strides just in the last 10, 20 years. I feel like there's a lot less of that medical gatekeeping. There's still some of it there, but we've definitely made progress.
Yeah,
Oh,
like there's what?
as far as transitioning with like the medical world, I feel like yes, it's more accepted. Doctors will accept you, things like that. But like I know like people are boycotting drag shows, protesting, like brunches.
Hacking them.
Yeah.
When children are there at like drag brunches, I know people are going to threaten to blow the building up if you do it, things like that. So like what I am currently seeing is there's a lot of hate out there for us, which is
Yeah.
scary. But there's also a lot of like love, which is incredible.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. It is kind of scary to see the places that are targeting as like active pushback. Like there's 3 states that are trying to make it to where in order to be on HRT, you have to be over 21, and then there's 2 that are trying to make it 26. So it's kind of crazy to see that like the medical professionals are like, oh no, no, this is a valid thing that happens and we can treat this. And then you've got some whack jobs that are like, no, 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 no. This is all brainwashing. Hey, brainwash the children. It's like a drag show is not gonna make you gay. Like I know plenty of people who've been to a drag show. None of them made anybody trans. And it's not like we're vampires biting people and turning them trans or like COVID, cough on you and you got the trans.
That's how they act sometimes though.
Oh yeah, it's surprising how you know they responded so hard to masks. They were like, you know what, I'm not gonna wear a mask even though it can get me sick. But you know, then they respond to us as if we could cough on them and make them sick.
Exactly. I agree.
Welcome back, Caroline.
Oh, hi. No, I never left. I just turned my camera off for a second.
Camera hater.
Uh, so that's actually, I hesitated whether or not, we should talk about this, but I was silly to think that we wouldn't. But so there is a push right now, but like 29 states, at least it was 29 last year. I'm certainly more. It's 29 this year. But as of, I think, January 22nd, there were over 175 anti-LGBTQ plus bills being pushed by Republican lawmakers specifically. And it is, and I've noticed I made a fake TikTok account called MAGA Jesus Christ Q Alpha Male to follow like hateful, like to see what the algorithm was giving. And it still figured out that I was queer and that I, hated capitalism and wanted to tear down the patriarchy. It somehow figured that out. I don't know how, but it did. And it's atrocious, the rhetoric that's being pushed, especially by Peter, or what is it, Tucker Carlson, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro.
I 1000% agree with you. I think there's so much hate right now. I think we made like 20 steps forward and now we're like, even though we're ahead and doing well, there's so much hate building behind us. I think we should all turn around and pay attention to what's happening behind our backs.
I think that's a natural, I think maybe, I don't know. I would just guess perhaps this is a reaction to, progress. There's always a pushback from those that aren't ready to move forward. So I guess this is a part of, as we progress and become more accepting, there's obviously going to be pushback, but it's incredible to see that there's not really, I'm very thankful to the activists and advocates that are going to the town hall meetings and protesting and whatnot, but there's not enough conversation about this, and it's as if no one's holding Republicans accountable for their actions, yet they would lose their minds if you say anything about God or their party or anything. You can't say a word, but there they are invalidating, literally murdering trans youth by these atrocious bills. And no one's, I turn on my podcast for the news and it does nothing. There's nothing about this. It's all about whatever they want you to consume. There's no conversation about the anti-trans bills. And I think that's one big problem. is that mainstream media, even when they talk about it, there was an interview with Laverne Cox about 2 weeks ago on the Morning Joe show on MSNBC, and in that conversation, one of the journalists even said,
connecting it to women's health, which is what I prefer to call abortion, because it's a woman's choice. What form of health care, part of the medical care for women. It's the same issue. It's limiting what doctors can provide to individuals who have made a choice.
It's even referral.
This negative
Well,
anti-trans
yeah, if you're ever in a
narrative.
position to be on a show like that and somebody does that, the best thing to do is be like, no, 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 no. Reproductive rights. Like you really have to double down on shit because people will do that left and right. I've literally had somebody in a recent thing say something along the lines of, "Oh, I'm all for inclusivity, this and that, but like, let's face it, what trans woman's gonna worry about having to worry about abortion?" And I was like, "Well, there are trans men and there are non-binary people, and you just really have to basically stomp on their toes to get them to shut up and be like, let's correct you and your inability to learn so I can hammer this through to you."
Well, I learned when you try to double down, sometimes you have to look around and notice the room, they're just not listening. And sometimes no matter what you say, they're not going to hear you. So I think like the best thing when like Laverne Cox was doing the interview, I think what she noticed after she did her whole spiel and was like, talking about what she was trying to say, I think there was a moment in her head where she realized there was absolutely nothing she was going to say that was going to make them respect her or hear her. Not that she backed down in any kind of way, but that's what I took from it. I was like, wow, when you're in a room full of people who are just bigots, what do you do?
Oh yeah, see, in those instances, I don't understand why anyone would go and talk to them. You're like with people like that, you're not going to change their mind.
Even though the newscasters are sitting there with her, they might not hear you. Someone out there is hearing you. So even though you're not being heard by those sitting next to you, I think someone can, and I think your voice should. Like she's a spokesperson for us. She fights for us, and I love when she speaks for us. So I heard her loud and clear.
Arkansas, as well as this new law in Oklahoma, if you refer someone for gender affirming care, that can become a felony now, just to refer someone. So they don't want trans people to exist. That is really what this whole project is about. And you can't make us not exist. That just doesn't work. And I also want to, and this feels hyperbolic, but I thought a lot about it. And there's been a rise in anti-Semitism all over the country right now, and it's disgusting and it's horrible. People should know that one of the first things that the Nazis did, and I think it was in 1933, was they burned Magnus Hirschfeld's gender for sexuality. Magnus Hirschfeld was studying trans people, LGBTQ people. Lily Elby, who the Danish Girl, the film Danish Girl was about, she had her first gender affirming procedure at Magnus Hirschfeld's clinic. The Nazis burned it down. All of this research. And there were LGBTQ people in concentration camps stamped with pink triangles. So in this moment of a rise of anti-Semitism, we see this rise, this documented rise in anti-trans legislation and rhetoric. These are not a coincidence. So as we fight anti-Semitism, as we fight for reproductive rights, we have to fight for trans rights as well. And they're on TV every day. We need to be more vociferous. We need to be more engaged in this. And I know trans people are a small part of the population, but it is not unrelated to everything else that is happening.
Yeah.
This is about justice and bodily autonomy for everybody. It's about freedom. We're Americans.
Yeah.
We should be about freedom.
You've done a good job making the connection.
well, I think that's why media representation is so important, because the more that we normalize trans and non-binary people in television and movies and music, the more that we will see people for who they are. And I think that goes back to, a lot of people who don't understand trans issues are more understanding when they have somebody close to them that goes through that experience, and that through that helps them see what they've been missing.
I agree. There's a lot of hate within our community, though. That's another thing I think that we are not talking about is we attack each other. We're so quick to cancel each other within our own little tribe and our own little community that I think it's important that we kind of realize that we need to support each other. We should never pat people on the back for bad behavior. So I understand all that, but at the same time, we have to remember that no one else is going to have our back like our sisterhood and our brotherhood of the trans community.
Oh yeah, I've even seen it where some of our cis gay folk will shit on us and whatnot. I'm sure you've probably seen that as well, where like even walking in an area that's supposed to be super inclusive, you'll still get people saying shitty things, and they'll be gay people. You'll be like, oh my God, it's this gay person is calling me a man. Interesting.
I agree. So I think educating us, and especially like the new generations that are coming up. Like I have a nephew, he's like 12, and he just recently told us that he thinks he's trans, and he decided what his like female name is going to be, and he's asking us to start saying she. And I just I think there's a younger generation that's coming that if we can educate and teach them about love and making them aware of hate, but not spreading hate and having so much hate that they put out on the world. And also, it would educate us and teach us. Like, sometimes we are super critical of each other and we are so quick to make comments about each other's hair or our makeup or something wrong with us or our weight or whatever like that. And I feel like we just should not have that much hate within our group. We should protect each other and motivate each other and praise and things like that. But
Yeah, the first thing that comes to my mind are always compliments because you never want to cut someone down. Like, find a reason to compliment somebody, especially if they look good. Like, girl, your hair is fire.
oh, thank you. I agree
I
with
think
that.
I think you know that. And your makeup, I'm stealing it. I'm stealing everything. You're gonna wake up one day and be like, who is this clone of me on these random things? It's gonna be me.
Oh, you're so sweet. She's so quiet.
Who?
Not you and not the ones
Oh, me?
like
Hi.
Aria.
Hello. Yes,
Aria, yeah.
sorry. I was enraptured by what you were talking about. So, I do want to say though, I feel like us to an extent are a little bit spoiled because we're over here in California. What's been your general experience like with the attitude towards our community and around Cincinnati?
As far as being trans,
Yes. Yep.
um, I don't like the attitude with the queer people.
No, like the attitude of like the general public
Yeah,
around Cincinnati.
because like to our image, once you leave California, it's pretty much like a barren wasteland for trans folk because like it's basically Mad Max once you leave California to us. What's it like being in an area that is not as left leaning and being trans out in the open, essentially?
Um, Honestly, like I don't know exactly what it's like for certain people, but for me, like I don't walk out the door and scream I'm trans. I thankfully I feel like I'm pretty passable, so I never get like any negative reactions from like the outside world. So honestly, I don't know the answer to that.
Have you considered wearing a pink, blue, and white shirt everywhere?
No, as a trans person, I've always a little old school. I like to like blend in society. I don't really walk out the door and want everyone to clock me and know that I'm was born a certain way. I want to blend as much as possible. Obviously, I know I'm attractive to a lot of people. I know that I have really large breasts and things like that, and I'm tall. So I know that I catch your eye. But I don't want you to double take or look close at certain things that might make you like question what I am. So I like to kind of like just blend into society and not get that much attention. So I've never, honestly, in my transition or my transgender journey, I've never had an experience where someone like outed me or clocked me or called me a dude in public. So I haven't had nothing bad happen in Cincinnati. So
Yeah, I
thankfully.
think it's another aspect that a lot of people don't really consider because you'll hear it in a lot of left-leaning circles where they'll say things like, "Oh, well, the concept of passability is toxic because it conforms to this or that," and it's like, well, the concept of passability to some of us means protection and being safe because if you're very passable, you're less likely to suffer some of these crazy egregious actions. But if you're less passable, typically you'll get treated poorly. Like even on a trip when I first started my transition and went on a trip to Arizona, I literally had some old lady in a Walmart approach me and be like, "Don't you think your mother's ashamed of you?" And I'm just like, "What? Who are you? Like, lady, I don't even know you. Like, why would I care about your opinion or what you think my mom feels? I don't
Yeah.
even care what my mom feels like over my transition." Like,
So I know there's no like rule to being trans now. Like, you know, when I first transitioned, there was like my trans friends and my trans mothers when I first started transitioning, they were like, you know, you must have your nails done. You must always walk out the door being, you know, 100%. You have to be tucked, you have to be pulled, you have to be like dressed to the tens and look nice, and you should always have like an earring, things like that. There's certain things I was taught about blending into society so that you could like be passable. Nowadays, I see girls go out and they look like their born selves. They don't put any effort into like getting dolled up to go outside and not be clockable, I guess, whatever, which is fine. But I see their Facebook posts about how they get clocked and people say things about them, but yet they don't want to be passable. They want to look like their born selves. And I know I might not be saying that exactly correctly, but I think for me, like my journey, like I want to blend, I want to look, I want to play the part, I want to be a woman. That's what I feel inside, so I do exactly what makes me happy. So I applaud anyone that's brave enough to not focus on the passable side of it. I think that that would be one of the hardest journeys out there.
Do you think the passability comes from the society that, you know, we've built, that there's strict rigorous like standards like between the binary, that there is no room between, that our society, due to colonialism and whitewashing, has been stripped of its identity to where there is no in between, and only what consumerism has created for what a boy and a girl is acceptable?
I mean, I agree, yes, but I think I think so within our umbrella of the gay world, I think that we have 1,000 different umbrellas now that we all kind of fit under. But I think in the straight world, they're very like man or woman, passable or not. They're very judgmental, things like that. So I feel like in our umbrellas in our world we're okay, but once we go into like the other worlds trying to blend in society, not everyone's accepting of all of our umbrellas. And even though we like the they them situation, like it took me a minute to learn that and to understand not to assume someone's pronoun. Like I had to educate myself. I'm not like 23 years old, or I'm not like super young, I'm a little older, so I had to educate myself and grow. And I hear people in the straight world being like they them, what the hell. So I don't think there's a lot of education out there for them. And so for us to expect everyone to educate themselves that quickly, I think it just takes a little bit of time. So hopefully, you know, as time passes, we grow and they will be more accepting of all the passabilities or not passabilities, whatever. But I just don't think that the straight world understands it yet.
Yeah, because I see that in the corporate environment. Like I've had people who are like, "Oh, I understand the trans issue. You're transitioning, whatever." But the thing that I don't understand is like the gender fluid stuff, or the they thems, and or the ZZers. Like I've literally had people validate me and then invalidate the other parts of the umbrella, and it's like trying to explain that to them is really difficult because it's just not something that's out in the open for straight people. Like,
Yeah.
And it's weird because some of them will literally run into issues where they thought someone is trans or they them, and turn out that like no, that's just a cisgendered person that you're technically misgendering, because in straight culture they don't ask pronouns and stuff.
Well, I think that's another thing that's you know a problem is that having these expectations of passability creates this rift between you know between people trying to understand, because I've had that where somebody insults, you know, another trans person, but then they're fully supportive of me, or they're fully supportive of one individual, but then they talk down about another because one looks more accepting in what they consider what is their standards, and that's invalidating in itself. And I don't feel that when somebody says, well, I support you, but I don't know about the rest of them, I don't feel support. I don't feel like that. You're not supporting me if you're not supporting the community. And then of course you'll get from the white cis guys are like, oh well, that's the same thing you tell if you say that white people are racist, then that means they're all right. I'm racist too. And I'm like,
it reminds you how like far we think we're ahead, and you realize really quickly then that we're not that far ahead as we think we are.
I think that the backlash that we're seeing is there is, you know, because race and gender is very interconnected. I was watching some things recently about how intertwined they are and how our system by design has you know destroyed our ability to express ourselves. I didn't word that the way I wanted, but
Well, you're basically pointing out that there's an intersectionality between all these oppressed groups and minority groups, and by kind of isolating us and putting in a us versus them mentality, sometimes it breaks things down, essentially. Like it's like, oh, I support these groups, but I don't support these other groups. Like human rights, but I only support them and not them. And it's like, well,
Right.
technically, if you support human rights, you go for everyone to be included. However, you're sectioning it off as these people have a valid concern, these people do not.
Yep.
Like I've had people say literally, oh yeah, you know, they'll make jokes about the letter mafia, which I like that term in a sense because I think we should reclaim that and be like, yeah, I'm a part of the letter mafia, bitch, I'll beat your ass. But you know, they try to use it derogatively, and I'm just like, well, which part of us do you agree with? And like, oh, you know, I understand gay stuff. Like there are gay people. You don't see transgenderism in the natural world. And I'll be like, well, actually, you see it in humans, and here's some examples, and this and that. And then, you know, once you find out they're not listening anyways, I just like, all right, well, you have a good day being a fucking like loon. I'm gonna fucking go the fuck over there. Bye.
a little side note, really quick, does anyone remember why the L in LGBTQ plus is put first? You're speaking of the mafia alphabet or how you phrased it, so it got me thinking about the acronym in general. For the LGBTQ plus is actually after the during the AIDS epidemic, you know, when nurses and institutions refused to help AIDS victims, the only people that were stepping in were lesbians. And so in the 90s they decided that to honor, you know, that they put the L first in the LGBTQ plus. So
I remember when the T was so silent.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, the T was so silent. And I was like, okay, this is weird. Like, hi, we're over here. But yeah.
Yeah.
When I grew up, I remember hearing, you know, in my young days, it was LGB, the LGBT community. You know, they didn't even put the T on it. But
Well, in
as I
some places it
grew,
was just lesbian, was it lesbian, gay, or lesbian straight alliances? They wouldn't say LGB. They'd be like, oh, it's a lesbian straight alliance area.
I think that kind
yeah,
of goes
when
back
as I grew up, the acronym got extended. It was LGBT and then LGBTQ and then LGBTQ plus and LGBTQIA plus. So it's just the more I learned, the more it grew inclusive.
And you're saying, Aria?
Yeah, I think that goes back to the infighting within the queer community we touched on a little bit, because there was a period where cis lesbian and gay people, they felt like trans people didn't properly conform to these standards that we needed to conform to, and that was holding the movement back. But luckily we've opened up a bit since then.
Yeah, because there was also some discourse for a while where they were like, well, this shouldn't be a part of the LGBT thing solely because then it turns into a straight couple and blah blah blah. And it was weird. Those were weird times for America. We were really trying to figure
With
things
the amount of hate out there, I kind of wish that there was a way, and I don't know how to say this properly, so if I offend anybody, I'm not meaning it like that, but there was a time period like in the 80s and 90s where like it was gay pride. And it was like everybody was under one word, and it didn't mean there was all these different umbrellas and different letters and things that fit each of us. But gay just kind of went together, and we had people who were not gay that were supporting us, that would march with us and things like that. I wish there was a new way to put us all together, and we can like walk together with pride and fight for each other and support each other. Like whatever happened back then, I wish there was a new movement now where we would all be together again and support each other.
Yeah, they had one. It was called Saga. Recently, it was maybe like 5 years back. They were trying to use Saga instead of because you know the acronym's been growing as you know we've been figuring things out. Like now it's LGBTQI plus or IAA what is it, IAAQI plus. So they're like, well, the acronym's getting longer. Let's just use Saga to be all inclusive. But a lot of people didn't rally under the term because there wasn't there, there's no centralized movement. There's no like Pope of the gays. But I myself,
we're gonna keep growing and put more letters in it. So what are we gonna do when it's like
when I sorry, the audio.
oh, okay. Well, to me, I like lately I've been kind of just using gay as like the overall like like with straight people they're like, oh, blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gay, because it's just I don't want to sit there and like talk to
like
them about
queer
everything.
kind of works in a way. Like the word queer kind of fits all of us in a way. It's a queer space, things like that. But like,
Yeah, I'll use that too. Oh, I'm just
I
part of
do.
the queer community.
I was gonna say that. I felt, I didn't, maybe I'm old school and thinking, but the queer community just it's quick. I guess it's just for the sliding off the tongue. The queer community just I don't find that to be offensive because that's I guess we've reclaimed that
Well,
term.
yeah, because nowadays it has been reclaimed, but back in the day, it used to be like essentially a social death sentence, and it was a slur.
Queer and fag kind of went together. Like if you were called, I remember being called, you're a queer, you're a faggot. So I remember those being like words that was used against us. We kind of like now own it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that word is like the word. I don't know what it is. I just wish there was a way that we can all be together again. I feel like we're so separated with our own letters, and we're like all these little umbrellas have all like separated us so much that if somehow we can be together again, it would be beautiful.
Well, we have straight. We have straight community. We could have the curved community.
Well, I think the usage of the queer community is actually becoming more prevalent, and then slowly over time, I think it'll reband back together because that is what people are using nowadays. Like I've heard plenty of places just being like we have they call it the LGBTQ Alliance on our Slack for one of the companies I'm at, and it's like everyone in it just refers to themselves as a part of the queer community. Like there's no reason to go outside of that for that, because it's like it's one big umbrella that we all fit under and we can all talk about issues. And in one instance we talked about someone who they were electing to a board, and we're like, no, we none of us feel comfortable with that, and they actually reversed the decision because of that.
I agree.
So what in our fight for acceptance and visibility and understanding, what would you encourage your followers and listeners to do, and what would you do to advance acceptance for our community? That's something we've talked a lot about in this last few minutes.
We do this whole like gay pride or this pride event every June. All of us do these huge festivals and things like that. I almost feel like there was some education that happened during the Black Lives Matters movement, where almost that we should march and we should almost like make a statement that we're here instead of like celebrating and having like these huge festivals. That's great, but I feel like there should be something else where we not protest but march and make a statement and let society know that we're not victims, we're not people that you can just target. We will stand together and we will fight, we will protest, we will not back down. I think that somehow we say like we're gonna, you can't hurt us, but really we kind of hurt each other, and then they hurt us. So like in a way we all just kind of like hunch over and just pray we don't get hit in the crossfire things. In a way, I wish we can protest again, march together somehow. I don't know exactly the right wording for that, but that's kind of the best way I can describe what I feel.
Like a march for visibility.
Yeah, I feel like we used to do that. Why don't we do that anymore?
I think the only reason that we kind of stopped as much is solely because of first there was the COVID, and then a lot of people just feel more comfortable at Pride doing it, but it's like you should do it year round.
Well, Pride to me is more of a celebration. It's not.
I agree.
It's not a protest. It's not a movement where we're saying leave us alone. It's more of like a celebration of us just all getting like drunk and partying and watching drag shows and celebrating and dancing and forgetting about the hate when I think that we should focus, that day should be like a protest day, like a march day. I could be saying that kind of wrong, but it's just how I feel.
No, I think you're saying it absolutely right. When, you know, I think that a lot of people in the queer community have come to realize that their lives are now, political by nature. There's no choice about it because we live in an atmosphere that's very dangerous and we're not safe. The Homeland Security issued a terrorist warning for our community that we were under threat last year back in November. So it's heightened alert. And what would you say to what would you encourage us to do in regards to like advocating for education for cisgendered people to because that's really, I guess, the root. I mean, the root of it is hatred. Republicans aren't going to stop doing what they're doing, but there's an opportunity with all of our platforms to educate, and unfortunately that's what we don't have a choice. When I was planning the show, I thought, well, how can we, is there a way to have fun and not be political? But really, at the end of the day, we are at a time where if we don't do something, future generations won't get to experience life like we had it like in 2010 for like 5 minutes. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, it's true. I honestly think that we should pause for a second, look at the Black Lives Matters movement, see how they did what they did. Because I remember for a moment I was watching and I started hearing people talking about it like loudly, like in a positive way. So I feel like that was a moment where we kind of can educate ourselves on how to band together and fight for our rights and fight for our, I don't know. I feel like that was a big educational moment. So I think if we looked at that and did our own version, it could be really impactful. Maybe, I don't know.
Some heavy hitting questions, nothing that are curveballs. We're not going to be like, what is the square root of the hypotenuse of an isosceles triangle if the base is 1? But it's basically questions that are based off of the greatness that you've given us today. So one of the ones I like to ask is, now that we know, now that we know what your plans for the future is, it's more like how far are you willing to go to see the future you'd like come to fruition?
I mean,
You're obviously
I want to
doing
go.
it now.
I want to go to the end of the world. Like I feel like for example, there was a shooting that happened at gay bars. There's a bunch of them that's been happening. So like going to my show every night, there's a second in my brain where I think, okay, if this happened, what am I going to do? And I always make sure I announce on the microphone like where our exits are and things like that in case of emergency, in case of a fire, in case of someone coming in trying to hurt us. So I feel like, I do my best to always put on a brave face and go out and do my shows. And my shows are not just about making money and about like my career. It's about bringing people together, creating a safe space, doing our best to educate and to evolve. So I feel like I do that every single day. I put forth effort to always create an atmosphere where people feel safe.
Yeah, and to point out the money thing, I know a lot of people are like, oh, if they're doing it for fun, why do they need to get paid? Bitch, there are nurses who love what they do. You still got to eat at the end of the day. Like, you need money to be able to live, and you need money to be able to eat some good goddamn food.
Well, like for example, this wig cost me $600. So like when I'm making money off my shows or whatever I'm doing, I'm putting a lot of money back into my drag to make sure that my costumes are always incredible, new shoes. I buy probably like 3 new costumes almost a week. I constantly am investing in my looks. So when people tip me, I'm not just taking that and going and buying things that are not good. I'm putting forth my living as well. Like I pay for my home and things like that, but I also put a lot of that money back into my shows to make sure I'm always evolving and growing.
I hope you know that's also a tax write-off. I mean, if the wealthy can get away with it, you should be doing that too. Like, you need to write that shit off on your taxes, girl.
Yes, 100%.
Now, my next question and my last one is essentially, with what you've said, there is an element of danger. Um, are you okay with the idea that all these seeds you've planted might come to fruition like after you? Because your job is dangerous. Let's not forget that, there are people who are doing acts of terrorism. There are people shooting these places up. Like you could die doing what you do. So are you okay with knowing that the seeds you planted may fruit like way down the road or
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with like if I was to be in a situation where that did happen to me during my show, of course that'd be devastating. I don't want my life to end. I love my life and I love, you know, what I do and I love my family and I don't want to go anywhere. But if it happened, I will go out with the biggest bang to protect everyone in that room, and I would go out with the biggest bang to make sure that everyone's safe. I would 100% risk my life for our community.
That's great. And I wanted to ask, based on your personal experience with finding yourself, what is a message that you'd like to give to younger people in our community who are also trying to find themselves?
Remember that people have to transition with you. Yes, we are transitioning. Yes, this is gigantic to discover who we are. And it takes us such a long time and so much depression and so much hate. But just remember that people have to educate. They have to, like, say when my niece that's transitioning now, like, I try to tell her, like, you have to be patient and understand people have to transition with you. So, like, don't expect your mom and dad to say she tomorrow. It takes a second. Be patient, be kind, and it will happen.
That's great. And the most important question of all, is there a version of your wig that costs less than $600?
The plastic ones that you can't flat iron or wear every day and need to buy new ones constantly because the ends get fried really bad. So what I've learned is like as a drag artist, I was spending probably like $500 to $800 a month or two on wigs that were plastic or synthetic, whatever. And then I would like do all these shows. I'd brush them constantly. I would try to change the styles. I would get them teased and put up, whatever like that. But they don't last long. So recently, in the last couple of years, I've been buying these more expensive wigs that are human, and I will have this wig for probably 5 years. Yes, it will get shorter and shorter. I'll have to cut the ends like you do normal long hair, human wigs, whatever. But potentially, this wig could last me a very long time. So to me, it's more of an investment. And like for example, I woke up kind of late today for this podcast. So I thought for a second, I was like, okay, do I put my extensions in? Do I flat iron my hair and get ready for the day? And I was like, okay, I have 3 minutes until 1:45. So I literally grabbed my wig, sprayed it down, and pushed it down on my head and pray to God it looks good and looks fine today.
it looks fucking great.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Already krilled. It was already ready to go. I didn't have to do anything to it besides just plop it on my head. So that's a good thing about having these wigs is they're pretty much ready to go at all times.
Fantastic. You got anything else, Liz?
Oh no, those were my
Oh, we got
questions.
lots more. No, I got lots more. So let me ask you, what kind of advice would you give to someone starting out in drag artistry?
Really pause for a second and ask yourself, is this the world you want to enter? Because I know for a lot of like my a lot of the gay boys who are starting drag, other gay boys will not date them because they're drag artists. So, and there's a lot of hate within the drag community as well. Like you think the trans community against each other, you think that, there's a lot of hate. And within the drag circles, like if you do really good, the other drag queens will tear you down. They never want to see you be successful. They will never applaud you. They'll never award you. They want to see you fail. So you kind of have to figure out how to maneuver. And so be very, number one, you have to have a thick skin. You have to be able to be made fun of and talked about. As soon as you walk on stage, people are like, oh my gosh, she has a hole in her fishnets. Oh my God, she's missing a rhinestone on her costume. Oh my gosh, her hair is not brushed properly. They read the dog crap out of you when you walk on stage. So you have to be prepared that they're going to rip you apart at every move. And you're pretty much a circus clown or a piñata. So if you're not prepared for that, you can't take it, do not enter this world. But if you have thick skin and you can handle it, then come right on. But then when it comes to the other drag queens, be very careful because they never want to see you be successful. They will try to rip you apart. It happens to me every day. I supply jobs for drag queens. I open up doors for drag queens. I do a lot for myself and for us. And as soon as I do something great, the other ones are back whispering about it. So just be prepared for a lot of hate and make sure that you are strong.
So speaking, I wanted to ask you this earlier, but there's a lot of toxicity in the community. Do you think that that is, rooted in maybe like the way that the drag community has been portrayed in media through RuPaul Drag Race?
So I think RuPaul's Drag Race has done gigantic things for us in such a beautiful, groundbreaking way. But luckily for me, I started drag before Drag Race. And I was, I auditioned for season 1. I was featured on season 1, episode 7. In case everyone to look it up, you can see Jessica Dimon on RuPaul's Drag Race, episode 7, season 1. Anyway, I was a part of the beginning of that journey, so I got to kind of see the development. But I also, because I was a drag queen before RuPaul's Drag Race, I know what life was like before it. Now, after, it's so different. It's kind of scary. Like when a show ends, what's going to happen with drag? Because some of these drag queens are so focused on the show, they don't realize the show is not like real life for us drag queens that work every day at a bar. That show is literally like a scripted reality TV show. It's not realistic. So I don't know if it's open. I don't know what it's going to do for us in the future, but I know it's doing great things for us now. But sometimes it's just, you gotta remember, it's not reality. It's not
Oh my
real.
God, so you were on episode 7 of season 1. That's so cool. Oh my God, I'm gonna upload the try to find the video clip, and then when I upload this to the video, I'm just gonna insert that video right there and we can watch you on RuPaul. That's so cool. Oh my God, we're talking to a Ru girl, right? Technically you're a Ru because you've been on it.
But I was casted for season 2, but back then, you couldn't transition yet fully. Yeah. You had to hide where you were in your transition.
Yeah.
So I just got my breast implants right before the audition process started. So I remember I was auditioning for season 2 and I kept like hiding my breasts. I didn't want them to see yet because I knew they would not put me in the show if I had them already. So, but I remember I got the call and I had to do a Skype interview and I like wore like a turtleneck trying to hide. And they were like, "Can we see like the rest of you? Like, can you change your shirt or whatever like that?" And I remember right then I knew that was in for me. So I didn't obviously make it, but now they're putting trans people on the show, which is awesome. I'm glad that RuPaul has evolved.
Have you thought about auditioning again?
I've auditioned a bunch. I feel like I always bring up the fact that I was featured on season 1. I bring up my journey with RuPaul's Drag Race, and I think that's kind of hurt me. So going forward, if I audition again in the future, I'm definitely not going to bring up that past. I'm going to just focus on what I'm doing now. But yeah, I audition all the time.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
I want to be on the show, of course. Like, local girls make maybe $75 to $125 a show, maybe $200 if you're lucky. RuPaul girls make $6,000, sometimes $10,000. So of course I went on that show.
What's been the most memorable moment in your career, your 20 years of performing?
Most memorable moment. Like are you saying like a moment on stage where something happened that I remember the most?
Just like an experience, a memory that like sticks out to you out of these, or maybe a few memories if it's not just one, but like something that's really been impactful in your life that you cherish.
Honestly, like my last name, my best friend Nomi, I kind of touched on this a little bit ago. My best friend Nomi was a drag queen before me, and she started me in drag. And my name was Jessie, and so I was like, okay, I want my name to be Jessica. And I kind of did that because I knew I was going to be trans. I was like, I want to transition. I want to become a woman. I know this. So I want my name to be like beautiful. I don't want to be clown-like. And then I wanted my last name to be Diamond, like how you normally spell it. so we were writing my name down and she was writing her name and we were creating our names. And her name was Nomi, Nomi. And I was like, what if we flip it and make it sound like Simon, but with a D, and it spells Nomi backwards? So in my 18-year-old brain, I thought that was the most genius thing in the entire world. I thought I was going to become this big celebrity, have to explain to everybody that I got my name is for my best friend Nomi, who's my ride or die. I thought it was the most genius thing I ever did in my life. And it was the most dumbest because now I had to explain my name to every single person that meets me. Like I was in the news recently and they were like, Jessica Dimon. And I'm like, it's Diamond. Like not Diamond. It's just like Simon, but Diamond. And it's been a hassle a little bit. So my last name, I wish to gosh I would have changed that. But like having moments where you have a drag family that really supports you because the drag scene is so toxic. I kind of like developed a diamond family. And so at one point I had a bunch of sisters and we toured. We went to Michigan, West Virginia. We went everywhere together as like a trio or something like that. So that was probably my best moment in my career is having my sisters who, no matter what I did, they would have fought for me and had my back.
How do you want to be remembered in the community?
So I learned really quickly with social media. I think I was ahead of my time a little bit when it came to like social media back then. But I realized based on like Lindsay Lohan, for example, or Britney Spears, or these celebrities who were creating negative publicity to get publicity. So I remember at one point in my career, I was doing all these horrible things trying to get people to talk about me. So I would do really great things and then I would do something really crazy on social media to get people to talk. And so with that, it kind of created this like negative narrative about myself where I was like the bad guy. I think I've evolved from that, but I would love to be looked at, you know, if I was no longer here, someone that did, you know, tear down walls for our community, I would love to be looked at as someone who was a leader that was similar to a politician in this community. I feel like I have took the bullet for so many situations. But yeah, I would like to be known as a good person as well. Whenever I'm on a video, my dogs have to lick water. It drives me crazy. Sorry.
Don't worry, we don't hear it.
That's all right.
Yeah,
We're all having
like,
animal issues. I noticed Caroline's got a little furry co-host with her today.
Right, Caroline just showing her pussy out on the camera like that.
There they are.
Yes. Yep, see? Just showing pussy all just free like.
Monkey, look, this is everybody. See?
Hi, kitty kitty.
Yes, her name is Monkey. My mother, when she was born 10 years ago, July 13th, 2013. And my mother thought she had a monkey looking face. And so she just named her Monkey Face. Huh. So, yeah.
I like to call my cat Cat.
Well, what kind of dogs do you have, Jessica?
I have a Shih Tzu and I have a, I guess it's called a wiener dog mixed with a Chihuahua.
So they're both adorable.
Yeah, you have what's the word? You have purse dogs. There's a word.
Lap dogs?
Lap dog.
Yeah, because they're big enough to sit in your lap and you can pet them.
Yeah, they're my best friends. They're so little and kind. And like the best thing about the Shih Tzu is she doesn't shed. I think it's called hyperallergenic. She doesn't shed, which is incredible because I wear black a lot. And then I have the Chihuahua. She's super she's like the most sweetest dog I've ever had in my life. I've never owned that kind of breed, and the wiener dog and the Chihuahua mixed together, they're so like passionate and beautiful and just super sweet.
I am personally bigoted against Chihuahuas, but I'm sure yours is a sweetheart.
I have a Shiba, and like this guy is amazing. He's very, very old. But I will he's my baby. I would stab God for that dog.
Is that my Saki?
Dog? Yeah, Saki. Saki's like 16.
Oh my God, my dog just passed away last year that was like that old. And when they go, it is like losing one of your family members. It's the saddest day of your life.
Yeah, I'm dreading the day that comes. Like I know it's on the horizon, but I'm hoping he becomes the world's oldest dog. Like Every day I wake up and I'm like, you gotta make it to 28, kid. You gotta make it to 28.
Deal. I like that. Yes.
So, sorry, she keeps
She wants some love. Give her some love.
she sleeps in between me and my partner every night. She gets me up.
Well, that's not enough.
So, Aria, what was that you were gonna say?
Hmm?
You were gonna say something. I didn't. You were yeah.
Oh no, you're good. You go ahead.
Aria.
No, that's Caroline. That's their name's not good. Their name's Caroline.
So, Jessica.
Yeah.
Before I forget to ask you, where can our listeners find you out there in the world?
Yeah, plug yourself, girl.
Oh, so of course I'm on every social media platform you possibly can find. I literally am on every single app. I don't know how I have the energy or the time or the patience, but I do TikTok lives almost every single day. I am on Facebook every single day promoting my shows. I'm on Instagram. I am on Snapchat. I'm on OF. I'm on Twitter. I'm on every single. You can find me anywhere you want. Just type my name in.
So you're on Hive?
What's that?
It's the new one that's supposed to replace Twitter.
Oh,
in
I'm
case
not
Twitter
sure.
goes down, there's a bunch of people setting up Hive in the event that Twitter goes down.
Oh, I don't want Twitter to go away. I love Twitter.
Yeah, it's not about what we want. It's about the craziness of Elon Musk.
I actually find him very. So I don't agree with him, but I find him super fascinating. I watch like documentaries and videos about him. I think that he is crazy as hell, but I think he's super fascinating.
Let me ask you a really important question, and I hope that you will be honest with us here. What was the last thing you Googled? Just look it up on your phone. We gotta see it in lifetime.
Yeah, I Googled
Can I close my phone?
Oh, you can't. No, if you're on Zoom. Oh no.
I feel like it was something really dumb. Like I recently just got this. My partner was telling me about this magic mist. It's like a hair product that he heard about. So I looked it up and I was like, what is this? And so now I use it in my wigs every day. It's like a leave-in conditioner. But yeah, I think that was the last thing I looked up.
Oh my God.
Caroline, what was the last thing
You
you looked
wanted
up?
something juicy. I know you wanted something more
okay.
juicy.
What was the last thing
I
I
know.
looked up?
I was curious myself. I looked and nothing juicy. It was my last thing was where to stream Bob's Burgers.
Hulu. I
Is it
have
on
it.
Hulu?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
I can give you my Hulu password.
All right, good.
The last
Mine would definitely get us kicked off Twitch. That's for certain.
I don't want to say what mine is.
Say it. You say yours. I'll say mine.
Okay, it says 31 clever questions to ask in a podcast.
That's what?
31 questions to ask in a podcast?
That's so
Yeah.
Mine was
that proves that you take this job serious and this podcast serious. The fact that you were looking up questions to ask, make sure it's interesting. I actually applaud you for that. You actually did some research. You put time and effort into this. So everyone that's watching should.
Yeah, give her a clap.
Oh, please. Thank you.
Yeah, my search results probably gave my phone the clap.
Barbara Walters taught all their girls on The View, do your homework before you do any interview. Learn about who you're asking questions about. Like take 5 minutes and educate yourself. So I think that was incredible.
I took a month. I watched you live almost every night. Just little peeks here and there.
She would tell us about the videos. Did you see this video? Like she was on cocaine or something. Like you could see her just lifting a gum up to be like, I'm putting Jessica Diamond stuff in my body.
Oh, I am like literally live every night. So lately she has been coming into my lives and it makes me smile because as soon as I see her name, I'm like, oh my God, make some noise and everybody follow this the podcast. I'm gonna be on it soon. So the fact that she's been coming in and showing support like that, it proves that this is more than just a podcast, which I think is why this is a beautiful thing.
Well, thank you. I can't wait for you to hear the finished product because this is I love doing this part because it seems so like I wish we were in a studio. So if we can get famous off of TikTok, we will have a studio. My goal is to travel. If we could just make enough money, our co-host and I would just travel the country to each city that we do an episode with each week. Be like, oh, we're going to Nebraska this week. You know, just because that would be fun. But it's but there'll be a finished product, and I can't wait for you to hear it. We have a little piece that we're starting this season where we have it's just a moment where our co-hosts each week is different, can go in depth into issues that are affecting our community and what we can do about that and the impacts that it has on specific persons. So
I want to ask, so all four of us are transgender women, correct?
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so what is the best tucking panty for day wear?
Ooh, let's see.
This is for
The one
listeners.
you've got.
Yeah, we're.
She's got a tucker that, like, oh my fucking god.
I mean, it's not even.
Oh, well, I guess it's not a tucker, right? It's just panties that are. If she's gonna get these things, it's just like, where did it go? What?
So apparently she's not tucked right now. I'm just joking.
No, she's tucked right now with a different one.
I'm joking. I'm just saying she's looking for a tucking panty.
I don't have that problem. I don't do that because I was
I can't find it.
blessed with almost nothing down there. So woohoo.
I know, that's what I was gonna say. Like, there's it's pretty darn easy for me.
Well, I was blessed with a God-given I was very highly blessed, thank God. So I have to get really good tucking panties. Otherwise, I'm in serious trouble.
Yeah. I just use stuff that's really tight, and then also the tucking methods, like right beforehand. Do you do the inside the body method and then just
Yep. They live inside my little pockets up there, and the rest lives far back. But being tucked for like 10 hours is very painful. But yeah, sometimes you find a good tucking panty that like really doesn't hurt that bad, and you can do it like for a whole day at work or whatever like that. So
I use elastic. There's elastic panties now that work pretty good.
And then as far as like I'm sure all of us are on hormones, things like that. So I'm sure we all have breast growth. What is the best bra that you've ever like got that really makes you feel good about what the cleavage and things like that? Like, what's your favorite kind of bra?
Oh, I'm very active, so I have a because I have like these are all natural, homegrown,
non-GMO.
Yeah, non-GMO.
Non-GMO
with a pair of fake titties, because those are also real titties. They're not imaginary. They're not fucking the square root of -1. Even implants are real fucking titties. Like, look at those titties. Those titties are fucking 2 thumbs up, grade A fucking titties. I use a lot of sports bras because of like I didn't expect the whole like bouncing thing as much. Like going downstairs, I'm like, oh my god, my titties hurt. So I use a lot of sports bras. There's this really nice one that I have that's it's a sports bra, so there's no wire because I hate wired bras with a passion. But it pulls my titties together and just makes the best fucking cleavage. And I got it from Target for like $20. And since I have like ginormous shoulders, it's perfect. I wish it's like in motion or some shit like that, but it's got like a crossed back with it just pulls you together, and it's just so great because it's like, oh wow, my cleavage is popping. And I don't have to worry about like hurting myself when I run downstairs.
I like Victoria's Secret's, like if you're newly transitioned, there's a padded bra at Victoria's Secret's called Bombshell. I think it's a really good bra for starting periods, but I also think like sometimes when you're on hormones and without an implant, sometimes the shape isn't like the best. Sometimes
because it's connective tissue.
Yeah, so I feel like that bra kind of gives a little padding underneath, and it gives you that little push that you want. So I recommend that bra to a lot of people. But I actually, when I paid for my breasts that were $6,700, I remember that I said I will never wear a cheap bra on something I paid that much money for. So
yeah, it's a different story. You've got like the Rolls Royce of titties. If I were you, I wouldn't be putting on some like fucking Walmart tires on them bitches. I would be like, you know what? This bra's platinum. for the
Mhm.
underwire, and it's gold trimmed with real gold, bitch.
And
And I
this one
think
I
I
wear
do
every
like
Friday. It was owned by Madonna.
Yeah.
when I take my bra off, my boobs do not drop. They don't move. I have high profile supermodel boobs. So like I like an underwire just because I feel like for me, it takes the pressure off my back and my shoulders. It does something where it gives me more support in my brain. So I don't mind a wire.
Did
Yeah.
you go with the saline or did you go with silicone?
I have the
I'm
gummy
debating.
silicone. I have the gummy silicone. I think it's the best.
Oh, okay. The gummy silicone?
Yeah, well, all silicone now is gummy, but I know it's like gummy bear is what they call it.
Oh, okay. Because I'm debating what to go with in the future.
Alien, like so I never want to I don't want to get my boobs. So I kind of do want to get a new breast implant job. Like I want to get like a refresh, but with saline you have to get a refresh because the
Yeah.
water evaporates. So if you're okay with having multiple surgeries throughout your life to have them fixed constantly, then do it. But I think like gummy silicone, like it stays forever and it doesn't do anything. You have to get them fixed. You have to get them, whatever. So
Yeah, because they
that's why.
don't really leak. And even if you get that calcium stuff, they can just remove the calcium and,
Yeah.
And the calcium thing is not a guarantee. It's a small percentage of people get that from like their immune response.
The capsule you're talking about around the implant.
Yeah, where it starts to develop that film of calcium that you could
Yeah,
like break.
I remember Tori Spelling had that. She had like those rock boobs that were like capsulized. Yeah, thankfully I never got that.
Yeah, it's normally too if you like massage them pretty frequent. It also supposedly helps avoid that. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's your morning routine? What's your morning routine like, Jessica? Do you have a morning routine?
Is on fire.
So my typical day, I like to wake up, and I like to watch The View. First thing when I get up, I like to watch The View. I don't know what it is. It gives me my news pleasure in my brain. I don't like daily news. I don't like the news at 5 o'clock, but I love The View. So I don't know if you watch it or not, but you should watch it.
Actually, believe it or not, our show is actually, I very much grew up with The View since I was a young person, and I very much modeled the structure of the show. I have a little diagram I drew here for you. If you take a look at my first page here, you'll see in the corner, I have a little table with initials. So I envisioned if we ever were lucky enough to get into a studio, Aria, Lucy, Mariana, Cynthia, and I get into a studio, I thought, well, where would we sit if we were in The View? And so I haven't actually figured out. Let me show you. I'll tell you, it would be me and where Whoopi Goldberg sits. And then Lucy or Aria would sit where Joy sits. And then Lucy would sit in the middle because she's fiery. So she, it goes both ways.
I can keep you all warm.
As long as I don't have to be Meghan McCain.
Right. And then the next spot would be where the guests, so you would be sitting right there, and then the end of it would be Athena on the other end if she was. So I love The View. Not to go into a tangent, but let me tell you.
Yeah. Do you like Alyssa Fairgriffin, the new girl?
Alyssa Farah? I don't like Alyssa Farah much, but but it's
love her. I love her so much. I do think that she is. As I have a theory I want to throw out there really quick, and if this ever happens and I try to be true, I'm gonna be shocked. So this is on the record. I think Donald Trump sent Alyssa Farah Griffin to go there and be like an undercover spy. And so she's going to get in, she's going to spend a couple of years there and be kind of quiet and play the game. But I think once he starts doing more things and become more politics, once he tries to run for presidency again, I think then she's going to be like, go Trump. So that's the secret theory I have in my brain. I think that she's there as like what do you think you did on TikTok? You made like a fake profile and pretended to be straight.
She's a plant. Yeah, she's a plant.
I think that she secretly might be a plant for Donald Trump because she hates he hates The View. He hates Joy Behar. So I feel like the best thing that Donald Trump could do is put one of his people at that table, and it's happening right now.
Let me tell you, I think that my favorite is Ana Navarra. Do you know who that is? Ana Navarra?
Yes, she's the one who like fights for drag shows and talks about drag brunches all the time and how people should not be boycotting them and leave us alone. So I love her.
Oh, she really is.
Her rants sometimes get on my nerves. Like I can't stand when she like goes on her like tangents, like where they're so Yeah.
I also like what is it, Rosie? I like
Oh,
Rosie.
Rosie O'Donnell.
No, the other one, the current one. It's who? Oh, Sunny, not Rosie. Sunny.
Sunny Hot. See, I like Sunny, but sometimes I feel like she's not my favorite. My
No,
absolute favorite is Joy, Sarah Haynes, and even though I think Alyssa's a plant, I actually love when she talks. I stop everything I'm doing, I listen to what she says, and it gives me like a voice of what that party is thinking. I don't know. I think what she says is important. I listen to her.
I
But
I
Sarah,
grew up with I grew up watching The View. My first, we went on vacation. We were in New Orleans, and I remember Donald Trump attacking Rosie O'Donnell. So my youngest years of getting information was always through that platform of women sitting around the table. So when we do these shows, in my mind, I'm sitting at a table, so I you know, just
yeah.
pretend we're all, and it's
Well,
just
yeah,
I love anyway.
a
Not to get
trans
off on a
lady
whole.
actually reached out to me if you're ever in the area for us to do a show at their recording booth. Their name is Deborah Moreno, and I'll show you their thing. You know Deborah?
Oh my
Yeah.
God, Charlie, we're going
Yeah.
to San Diego next year. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm going to visit San Diego next year. That's our goal. You know what I want to do for the season premiere of season 3 is in studio, live together.
That'd be fun. I think you should do
All
it.
right. All right. Oh my God, please. Oh my God, that's so cool. Oh my God. Anyway, I didn't mean to get off on that. The View. So that's your morning routine.
Well, I watch The View, and then I will go take a shower, and I like to listen to like podcasts, or I like to listen to so I'm a weird person. I love like murder mystery kind of things. I have this big thing about Aaron Carter I watch every day. I was obsessed with the what's that case? Shadam Watts and Chris Watts case. I like to get updates on that. I watch podcasts about celebrity stuff. Like I watched this podcast. I was in the shower last night and I watched a whole 45-minute documentary about TATU, the band that kissed in a music video.
Yeah, tattoo. Yeah.
They were plants. That wasn't real. They were straight.
Yeah.
They kissed to make money off gay people.
Yeah.
It was all a publicity stunt.
Yes, they actually came out later and said that. Yeah, it was solely because at the time, bisexual culture was basically just for the male gaze, like the view of straight cis men, and that's what they did it for, was so they could get publicity, money, and it would boost their records, and it did
Yeah.
for a bit. Yep,
Well, then
I
they
remember.
came out as straight. They had boyfriends, and they were like, "We did that for fun. It was fake. It was not real."
Yep.
But I watched that last night. So I watched these weird little podcasts that come up on my phone, and I take a little shower, and then I typically will get ready, go on TikTok from 6 p.m. till 8 p.m. It was every single day, and then I go again at 10 p.m. till like about 12, and that's my routine. And then I see my family every single Monday. So I have like a routine I follow. Plus, I do shows all the time.
Who would you want to star in your movie, your biopic? What star would you like to play you?
Wow. I don't know. It'd be really awesome if like someone see me as hot as like Megan Fox and she played me, but I don't
Do
know.
it.
I don't know if I'm that hot, but I wish that I was. So if someone see me that way, that'd be awesome. Um, but I don't really have a celebrity in my mind that I think would play me. But that'd be awesome. I think I have a good story. I have a really crazy childhood that happened, like some trauma that happened to me. I think that I've had some crazy boyfriends. I feel like the straight guys that we date are crazier than us.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And their discovery of finding us and what they have to go through to date us. That's probably a good topic for us to discuss, is like the straight. Do you all date straight men, cis men?
I'm like, if I go into a kitchen, I'll see all those pans and be like, oh, I'm so pansexual. But I've dated some straight men,
Yeah,
and like
we both have. Yep.
straight cis
Okay.
men be on one sometimes.
Yep.
And you, Caroline?
Um, I have encountered straight men.
You hear that
before, yes.
disappointment in her voice? Like, I have encountered straight men. Yes, yes. We've all been there.
I don't really even date bisexual men. I date like straight men. And of course, everyone who's like that knows me, like, how is he straight if he's dating you? And I'm like, he's straight.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I feel like they go through a lot of torment to even stand next to us by society. So I feel like they go through a lot of hell, but I think they're crazier than us.
Before we
Yeah,
get off, you
simply
brought up.
because
I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, Lucy. Go ahead.
oh no, I was just gonna point out how like you'll always have that fight slash argument with people who they'll be saying that like, oh well, if he's in a relationship with you, isn't it gay because you have a penis? And it's like, one, you're assuming that I haven't had an operation. Two, like, no, I identify as a woman and he identifies as a guy. That's the definition of straight. And to them, a lot of like, especially back in the day, that would classify them automatically as being part of the queer community, even though it's not.
Yeah.
And it would just be this, it would be like you'd become a social outcast. Like, I remember back in the day, it would be like, oh yeah, you don't want to mess with that person. That guy's a punk. He dates this one chick and she's actually a dude and blah blah blah. Like back in the day, that was like social death.
That still happens right now.
Yeah, because there's a lot of you'll see the straight men that you date will sometimes catch a lot of flack for them dating a trans chick. It does happen still.
Their families boycott them. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen to them. It's still very, very powerful and strong right now. Nothing has evolved or moved with that world. I don't think.
Nope. I mean, as somebody who's been to jail, I can tell you the jail experience of it too.
See, I've heard very bad stories.
Yeah, the jail community involving it is pretty bad. But yeah.
I watched that TV show called 60 Days In on A&E. So
Did they do anything on it?
They don't like there's not a trans person on it, but I hear conversations and I've heard them talk about topics. And I'm friends with this guy named Lucky Chucky on TikTok, and I battle him sometimes. And he says there's trans people in prison and they are treated a certain way. And
you're normally essentially somebody's property in a sense. You expect it to be the cell like wife, but at the same time, you are seen as like too low to basically bully if in the sense of like you're worthless. And anyone who associates with you is automatically assumed as somebody, they're classified as a boy. A boy is somebody who has sex with other men. So they automatically assume that you're a boy, and then your protection is basically whoever you're dating. So just expect if you fight somebody, everyone's going to roll up deep on you.
Well, I pray to Jesus. I don't have a criminal record, and I don't want one, and I do not ever want to spend a single day in prison or jail a day of my life. So please, God, don't let that ever happen to me.
Yeah, and just remember, you can still be innocent and in jail. I've been innocent several times and in jail. All you have to do is be suspected of a crime, or a police officer can believe you've committed a crime, and you'll go. Like I once went because I looked like a suspect, and it took them a while to clarify my identity, even though I had identification on me, and then they released me. But it was still like you're still going to be in there for a bit. Like,
oh my God, please God, don't let that happen to me.
Yeah.
What are you most proud of, Jessica, in your life? What are you most proud of?
My parents were hippies. They partied a lot. I remember being 16 years old on my 16th birthday. My parents were drunk and high and had a huge like party for themselves. And it was my birthday and no one cared. So I remember at one point my parents offered me drugs. They were like, we want you to do drugs with us instead of your friends. We don't want you to drink and drive and things like that. And I remember when I was little, at that point, I said, I will never drink. I will never do drugs. And I will be successful. I will never be like them. And I think I'm so proud that I still to this day, I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I've never have. And I have put so much of my life into my work that I think I'm successful. I believe I'm successful, and I think I'm looked at as successful, possibly by a lot of people. So I think that what I told myself when I was 16 on my birthday, I live that truth still to this day.
What would you like to achieve in the next 5 to 10 years in your career, in personal life?
I would love to be a club owner, a nightclub owner. I think that I think our safe places are the more that we bloom into this beautiful flower of being accepted and things like that. I think our queer spaces are all leaving. I think like in 10 years, it's possible gay bars will be gone. People can go to anywhere, they can go to any club, they can go to any bar. They don't have to go to queer spaces and safe places anymore, 100%. So I feel like we're going to lose that. And I think for the kids that are 5 years old that are going to grow up and become 21 years old and want to have a safe place, they're not going to be here anymore. So I would love to somehow create more safe places for us, because when they all turn against us, we're going to need those little bars and those little clubs that we can go to that are ours, that are for us. So I'm really afraid for the future when it comes to the gay nightclubs.
Let me follow that up with with we're seeing all of these legislative bills and these awful remarks being pushed by the media. Do you say you're afraid for the future? Can you elaborate on how you like, how does that make you feel looking to the future? Do you have hope?
Yes, I have a lot of, that's why I want to be a club owner. I want to own my own club. I want to produce a drag show that has never been produced in our city before, and I want it to evolve. I want to create a space that's for everyone, but mostly for us. I am very aware. I look behind myself all the time. I see danger coming. I think that we are about to be under attack. I think that they are coming after us harder and harder. And the more that we pretend that life is perfect and that we are under all these different umbrellas and we attack each other and we don't focus on what's coming, we're in a lot of trouble. So I would love it if we start paying attention to what's coming. I think we're.
How do you think we can? How do you think we do that? As somebody that's beginning their transition or in the midst of there or is 40 years in, what would you say to the community in response to what are we going to do realistically about this onslaught of attacks? This is only going to get worse, and if we study history, we can see parallel to what happens when books are banned and the media is silenced, and the media then pushes toxicity and dehumanizes a group of people. We've seen what that does, and we're certain to talk about that in further episodes. But what are we going to do realistically? Like, what do you advocate for our community to do?
I think it is important that we go back to our roots. We need to pause for a second and look up what happened at Stonewall back in the day. Look at how Pride Parade started. Look at the history of like the lesbian community. The reason why the L is first, what they did for society back then. Look at the AIDS epidemic and how we were treated. And I think that we need to look at history. We need to educate ourselves, look at other movements and how they're progressing. And we need to really understand that even though we believe that we are so much farther, I think that we're almost back to the beginning at some point in some ways. And I think it's important to look at what our ancestors and our friends and our grandfathers and aunts back in the day did for us. And I think soon, once we're fully under attack, I believe then we will unite. We'll be forced to unite. And that's when I think the spaces and the places and the people that are leaders and in our communities will have to protect us, which I believe that's why I want to own a gay bar. I want to own a space that is for everyone, that makes you feel at home and safe and protected. And we have precautions and we have, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's coming. I think that we should eventually I think we're gonna get pushed together once we get attacked on a bigger level. And until that happens, I don't think we're gonna come together. I could be wrong. I'm just saying from my heart what I think. I'm an open book. I have no secrets, so I'm willing to open up and ask or answer anything. Maybe like a speed round where we ask like questions about our daily lives as far as being trans and how we live.
Oh my
I
God,
don't
let's
know.
do it. Aria, you're muted.
How'd that happen?
I don't know how that happened. What did you do?
What?
Okay, let's do a speed round. Let's ask a bunch of questions to each other. So let's just top of our heads. We're just gonna go, and I'm gonna start, and it's improv. So whatever you think of in regards to transitioning or just life in general, I think that would be really fun. So I'm gonna start off. Bananas or apples, Aria?
Bananas,
Okay,
for
Jessica.
obvious reasons.
Jessica.
Peaches.
Lucy.
Loquats.
Okay, now Aria, your turn.
Favorite musician, Jessica.
My favorite entertainer ever is either Dua Lipa or Jerry Halliwell, Ginger Spice from the Spice Girls.
Oh, I love Dua Lipa. Yes, absolutely. Okay, good answer. I'm stealing your answer. I'll go Dua Lipa too.
Mine is Ikimonogakari.
Caroline.
Oh, mine is Sugarland. Sorry, it's the country duo.
Okay.
What is the best razor that you shave with daily that doesn't give you outbreaks or bumps or things like that?
Where are we shaving?
Anything, whatever you want to say.
Veet. Veet is what I use on my body, and I use that weird little fucking flat razor from I don't know what they're called. It's called like an air blade or some shit like that. Cuts at the skin levels. If you have black hair, your hair will curl. So if you cut under the skin with like a razor, you'll get shit tons of ingrowns. This motherfucker does not give you that.
Oh my God.
Air blade, that's what it's called.
I use something like that, and it has like 5 blades, and it has eucalyptus and like lavender oil sprinkled into the
Yeah, no,
thing.
5 blades will start to get under the skin. If you're black, you can't go with that. But that'll give you this. You'll get these keloids from the scarring that happens from it.
We don't want that.
So that's important. I think those are things that we should talk about. I think mine is called Her. It's at Walmart. It's like a pink or yellow box, and I love it. It has like 4 blades. It has these little like cool things on it. I don't know. I think it's one of the best razors ever. It kind of reminds me of like a man razor. Because it gets deep into where you need to go, so you don't have any kind of stubble. But that's my favorite.
When you started early out in your transition, did you have any problem with your voice? Did you struggle with that at all?
So I thought that like you're supposed to have a voice that changed all the time. So it's mine did get a little softer, but I learned quickly when I'm at home I can just talk, be myself. And when I'm in public, I just talk a lot softer, and I don't try to like bring a lot of attention to my voice. And I try to like just, my voice never evolved into being like this most perfect female voice. But I know that when I'm comfortable, I can just be myself. When I'm in public, I just talk a lot softer and things like that. So yeah.
I didn't get to ask my question. Subs or dubs?
What does that mean?
It's a joke question. Do you prefer subtitles on your stuff or not? Like when you watch like Netflix.
Oh, I can't stand subtitles. I hate reading. I want to listen and just watch.
Subtitle hater.
I can't hear what they're saying unless I read what it said.
Well,
Jessica, what's your racing class in D&D?
Yes. We need to know your race, your class, your level.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Yep.
Never played it.
I'd say she's a bard, Definitely
Yes,
the element
When I
right.
was little. I remember playing that when I was little. I was you could be like a fairy or you could be like a wizard or things like that. I think I remember. Yes, I didn't play it a lot. My cousins wouldn't let me play as I was gay. I was a faggot, so they were like, "You can't play with us."
Yep, that's how it be. You just be like, bitch, I'm a bard. Can't you tell by my fucking amazing personality and everybody wanting to fuck the shit out of me? I'm a motherfucking bard, bitch.
And nowadays D&D players are all queer.
Yeah,
Funny how the times change.
Yeah, most D&D crews are super gay, mega gay.
Truth.
So what kind of advice would you give somebody that's like maybe a year into their transition or something like that?
A year into their transition?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, do we all take spirolactone?
Yeah, I do.
I have to.
I
Yeah.
do not.
I think
I
it's
would've-
I love I think it's one of my favorite pills we take is it makes us softer, it makes us like it makes our skin glow. I think it's a great pill. But my advice to a person in the transition a year into it, don't give up and do not let your inner saboteur win. I think suicide is gigantic in our community. I think that doubt and feeling that you're not worth it or feeling that you are not passable or guys are never going to like you, things like that. Don't give up. It does get better and it will work out. There's people waiting to meet you, there's people waiting to date you. It just takes time.
If you had an opportunity to speak to millions and millions, what would your message be?
If I had an opportunity to speak to millions, what would what's the
Worldwide.
topic? Is it talk about trans people, trans rights?
No, just you in general. What would your like lasting message be when people think of you? What would it be?
I don't know.
I noticed when you
Completely
get
fair and
nervous.
valid. Completely fair and
I don't know.
valid.
I
It's an
noticed you
answer
have a
to any
little British
question.
accent. I like that. You get when you get nervous, you have a little British in you. I noticed.
That
Well,
that just begs
my
to ask the question: have you had British in you?
I've never well, first off, nothing goes in me, I go in them.
Oh, have you ever been in British?
No, but I would.
It's only a pond you have to cross.
I agree. I think that that's the most sexiest accent ever. And I'm a huge Spice Girl fan. So I use that voice all the time, just out of boredom, curiosity. And I think it's also like it makes listeners kind of like pause.
Also, can we point out that we've finally found the mythical trans femme top?
Oh, it's not mythical, it's real.
Yeah, see, we found the mythical trans femme top.
I still don't believe it.
Yeah. We won't believe it until it's inside of us. That's true.
You don't believe what?
It's a common joke out here that it's in most of the younger trans circles that all trans femme are bottoms.
Oh, I am a very dom top, like hardcore.
Ooh.
If you don't believe me, go to my OnlyFans right now and subscribe.
And then the truth will be revealed.
Now, do I bottom? Of course. I don't like it. I hate it, but I do it.
Well, that was neat. I didn't. Okay. Well, this is exciting information to know. I'm not very sexual type.
What foundation, if you wear makeup? So you're going on a date with your partner, and you had to wear a foundation that was light and not too much heaviness. What is your favorite foundation? As a
I use
trans
Ben
woman?
Nye.
I get mine at the pharmacy.
I
use Stage.
Yeah, I don't know how to do
Yeah,
makeup.
Ben Nye is a little expensive, but I love the cream foundation that they have because you can spread it all over. It's not super heavy, and it comes off very easy when you use makeup remover. But it's also a lot. It's kind of expensive for like a little thing of it. So yeah, there's only like one place that sells it in Southern San Diego, or not Southern San Diego, in Southern California, in our area.
So I use Max Factor Pan Stick. It's an old makeup from a long time ago. I found it on Amazon, and it's a cream-based foundation. Hey guys,
What's it called?
Yes, it's a Max Factor Pan Stick foundation.
Yeah, look that up because I use cream ones. I like the cream ones the most.
So I put a little bit under here. I put a little bit on my nose, a little bit on my forehead, a little bit on my mouth area, and then a little bit on my chest, a little bit up here. And then I use this Sally Hansen face makeup spray, and I spray it on my face and I rub it all in. And then I make myself have like one light coat. It's very thin, and I spread it out so it's like not heavy foundation. It doesn't like hide my natural like skin tone, things like that. But if you have trouble,
how did you say the name again? Because I'm gonna look that up.
Max MAX Factor Pan Stick.
Found it. Thank you.
And I use
it's not expensive.
medium 56.
Ooh.
But I think everyone in the trans world, I don't care how far you are in your transition, whatever's happening, I think we all eventually get trouble spots. No matter if you have laser hair removal, you're going to grow little patches of hair here and there. I call him Jesse. Jesse still lives deep inside me somewhere, and he tries to come out every now and then, especially the more hypersexual I get or whatever. So that helps cover trouble spots.
I love that. That's incredible. Okay. So Jessica, gosh, it's been so fun. I'm so glad that you decided to come on the show with us.
Of course. Anytime you need me, I will always be there for you.
Well, thank you. It's been, oh my God, you were the first drag performer that I saw in Cincinnati, because when I moved away, I didn't come out, and it was a big thing. So last year, our first guest of the show was the first drag performer that I ever met. And then this year's the first drag performer in my home city of Cincinnati, who I guess I hear, I don't really watch, but I hear they're doing good on the football or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Football.
The NFL.
The Bengals. I hear they might make it to the Super Bowl. So I don't know. I guess that's exciting for people in Cincinnati.
Well, it was nice to meet the two of you over there. Thank you for being here today with me.
Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure. I followed you on TikTok, by the way.
Oh, please come in. I'm on there all the time.
I will be
Yes.
following you on TikTok. I am technologically declined because I'm old. And I'm like, oh, how do I type on this? There's no keyboard.
I like
That's
it.
true.
All right. Well, I love you all. Thank you for today.
Thank you, Jessica. It's been a pleasure. Have a great week.
You are amazing.
Yes.
That means
Bye.
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 Okay, hi everyone. Oh my God, that was so much fun. Did we do good?
That was great.
Okay.
I agree.
Oh my God. Okay, this has been so much fun. Aria, Lucy, I'm so excited. Thank you so much for being here.
Always
been
a pleasure.
Okay, all right, bye.
Bye.
So hi everyone, I'm Caroline Penny, creator of the Trans Narrative Podcast. We just finished our first episode of season 2 with special guest Jessica Dimon. Thank you for supporting us throughout the last season, and we look forward to producing quality content this year. If you want to find us, you can go to anchor.fm/transnarrative, or by typing in the Trans Narrative Podcast on Apple, Google, or Spotify, or by going to Facebook at facebook.com/transnarrative, or you can find me personally at facebook.com/MissMajesticEssence. Thanks so much for being here. We look forward to many wonderful, great episodes and a wonderful 2023 season. Hey, everyone, it's Caroline. That was the Trans Narrative Podcast on video. That is not something that we have often done, so I'm excited to be uploading this video for all of you to see, mostly unedited. But if you'd like to get the edited, produced version, go over to anchor.fm/transnarrative, or go to Spotify, Google, or Apple and type in Trans Narrative Podcast. For more details about the episode you just heard, make sure you go to the description link below. Find us on Facebook, Apple, Google, Spotify, and on this channel right here on YouTube. Subscriptions for exclusive content available. Be sure to go to anchor.fm/transnarrative. New episodes drop every Saturday at 11 p.m. This episode of the Trans Narrative Podcast was brought to you by Anchor, the easiest way to upload a podcast. If you'd like to reach out to us or be a guest on the show or have a collaboration, please email us at transnarrativepodcast@gmail.com. That's transnarrativepodcast@gmail.com. Thanks so much for your support. See you soon.